Hi, in today's video, we are going to see how to install Hadoop on Ubuntu 18.4, 16.4, and 14.04. A quick check on the softwares and the installation steps. So you can either go with JDK 8 or 9 and given the exact commands on what you want to execute on Ubuntu. Coming to the configuration of JDK, I'm going to show that in the hands-on post these particular slides. So these are exact 10 steps that we are going to cover. So let's get started. I'm going to use Hadoop 292 and this is a link from where I've downloaded and kept it already. So step one is to create the specific user for Hadoop. I'm going to create a user called Hadoop and the command is add user Hadoop. So this is going to create a group also. So just give a password. You can skip the full name, room number, etc. Let's select yes. So once you have this, you can just do a sudo of Hadoop. Okay, and this is the home. Okay, so as you guys can see, I've already downloaded the Hadoop tar 2.9.2 and now I'm going to extract it with the Hadoop user permissions. So once extracted, we are going to create a symlink, or you can move this software to /user/local or /opt. Okay, so I'm going to go to the home directory of Hadoop and create a symlink. Okay, so now you have the symlink. What you can do is you can say ls Hadoop 292 is going to point to the extracted location. So once this is done, the third step is to set up the passwordless SSH. Okay, so let's create the key. Just accept the defaults. So I already have a key. I'm going to just overwrite it. So once the keys are created, just execute this command. Just push it to pipe it to the authorized keys. So if you already have the authorized keys, what you can do is you can add the line just by this extra angle bracket. Okay, so now we have created the SSH key. What we are going to do is log in as Hadoop user to the local host and see if it accepts. Okay, so as you can see, we are logged in. So just log out. So now the passwordless SSH is set up. I hope you have installed JDK 8 or 9 with the steps that I provided at the start of the video. So now we are going to configure the environment variables in /.bashrc for Hadoop and JDK. So first figure out where the Java is installed. Okay, so the executable is in this location, which is a symlink. It's pointing to /etc alternatives. Okay, so as JDK is installed in this particular location, user bin JVM Java 8 Oracle. So let's open our bash RC, go to the end of the file, export Java home, and also add it to the path. So once this is done, let's go back and check this. Let's execute the bash RC. Okay, echo Java home. So we are able to set the Java properly. Now let's go back and add the Hadoop variables. Open the bash RC again, go to the end of the file. So make sure to add this specific Hadoop variables. So basically Hadoop home, and I'm pointing this to my symlink, and add the path uh, bin and sbin of Hadoop to the path variable. Similarly, mapped home, mapped Hadoop common home, yarn home. Then also configure the Hadoop conf directory, common lib native directory, Hadoop options, Hadoop streaming. So this is going to be helpful when we call the Hadoop streaming. Instead of giving the entire path, we can just call this variable. And similarly, the path of the Hadoop logs. So once this is done, just write it out and execute your bash RC again. Echo Hadoop home. So just make sure it's pointing to the right directories. Okay, so now the next important step is to create some directories uh, which is going to hold the information for the data nodes and the name node. So first let's create the directory which is going to hold the temp, which is going to act as a temp directory for Hadoop. Home Hadoop, Hadoop 292 slash data. So next is we are going to create the directories for data node and name node. HDFS store data node. So as this directory structure is not there, I'm going to put -p name node. So these are three directories which you need to create. So as these are done, let's go into our Hadoop conf directory, Hadoop. Make changes to our core site.xml. Okay, so go into this path and then paste this particular configuration. Okay, so these are two property files which are required for coreset.xml, fs default name, and Hadoop temp directory. So this is a directory what we created earlier. So once coreset is done, you can go back and open HDFS site.xml. Okay, so and again go back to the configuration settings and put these properties. Okay, so here we require DFS replication property. So as it's going to be a single node cluster, the value would be 1. And similarly the name directory path and data directory path, and again these directories we have just created before editing our configuration file. So once this is out of the way, let's go back and make changes to yarn site.xml. Okay, so and again go to the configuration properties and make sure to put these properties there. Okay, so don't make any mistake while putting these properties, otherwise your resource manager and node manager are not going to start. Okay, so there are these 6 properties which you need to put mandatorily. So once this is done, let's make a copy of mappred template to mappred site.xml. So go to the configuration and make sure to put this property. Okay, so just add these 3 properties here: job history address, web app address, and the MapReduce framework name. So once this is done, the final configuration is to the Hadoop env.sh. Okay, so here The first one is to export the Java home. So I'm going to modify the export Java home. So once this change is done, let's go back. Next step is to go back and format the name node. HDFS name node hyphen format. Okay, so if you can see here, it has actually used our name node directory which we created for the FS image. Okay, so once this is done, now let's go back and start our daemons. So there are two ways to start the daemons. One is you can use startall.sh, which is going to start the DFS and the yarn daemons also, or you can say start DFS first. Okay, so let's start the DFS programs. So this should be starting the name node, data node, and the secondary name node. Okay, so let's see if our jobs are running fine. Right, so you can see that we have the name node, data node, and the secondary name node running. So finally, let's start our yarn processes. Start yarn.sh. So this should start the node manager and the resource manager. Execute the JPS and see if all the processes are running fine. Okay, so as our Hadoop process are up and running, so next step is to go back and create the HDFS directory in which can be used for input and output. HDFS DFS mk directory /user /Hadoop and P option. Okay, so within this I'll create a input directory and the output directory. Okay, let's do a listing of it, so which looks fine. So now what I'm going to do is I'll copy one of the configuration files. So let's say we'll just copy the map.site.xml, hdfs dfs hyphen put the file to user Hadoop input. Now let's do a listing of it. Okay, so we are able to get this. So next step is to go back and check if we are able to access the URLs for NameNode and Resource Manager. So localhost 50070. So this is our NameNode URL, which is working fine. So I can just go to the browse file system. Okay. And as you can see, we are able to go back and check the map.site.xml. This is the content. Close it. Let's go back and check the resource manager URL. Okay, so everything is up and fine. Now finally let's go back and execute our sample. Hadoop jar Hadoop 292 share Hadoop map reduce Hadoop map reduce examples. So if you don't know what programs are there, you can just enter. It's going to show you the program names. I'm going to use the word count. user Hadoop input. This is going to my directory, user Hadoop output word count. Okay, so let's go back to our resource manager and see the job. Okay, so as you can see, our job is currently running. So map is 100% complete. Okay, so as you can see, our job is also completed. Right, and this is our status. So we can also do a quickly check the output. Let's do a cat of this. Okay, so as it's a word count program, it's going to count the occurrences of each and every word from the input file. So that's it for today. And again, before you leave, I'd like to tell you an important information. I've also tied up with Simplilearn and Edureka to bring discounts on courses and live lessons on Big Data, Spark, Python, and other courses. So these discounts or cashbacks, they range between 20 to 30%, and I have provided these links in in this video description along with the period of validity. So make sure to check those out if you're interested. And if you like this video, please make sure to share the link to your friends, and also don't miss out to subscribe.